Yo, what's going on, you guys? So today we're going to be talking about why newer players may or may not avoid Dota 2. Now, I myself consider myself a newer player. I don't think I'm brand new, but anyways, I thought it would be interesting to create a brand new Steam account and log into Dota 2 so I'm not just judging the game off the top of my head. So we're actually in Dota 2 right now, and we got a welcome page. So I'm a beginner. I played RTS games. I played a game similar to Dota 2. I've played Dota 2. I'm gonna go with I played a game similar to Dota 2, pretending it's me coming from League of Legends. Select the game you're most comfortable with. Dota 1, League of Legends. They don't have Heroes of the Storm. You would think maybe if you click another game it'll pop up, but Heroes of the Storm is a popular one, or was popular. So we got past the initial quiz, or like questionnaire, I guess you could say, to like gauge where you're at. So these little tutorials that are going on, I actually skipped them, and I think this is a good thing that they have these little solo bot matches and stuff. But in League, I think what they do a lot better is they don't allow you to click unranked right away. They actually make you play, I think it's 1 or 2 you and bots versus bots, and then you can play you with other people versus bots, and then you have to level your account up to level 5 or something like that. I think it probably takes like 8 games total, and it doesn't take that long, maybe 8, I don't know, maybe less than 8, but then you can actually play PvP, or like player versus player unranked in normals. So I feel like Dota kind of doesn't force the player to learn the game. Like they could just straight up, you know, queue up for a normal game if they wanted to. It doesn't really matter. They'll just click play Dota. You know, if they don't click start mechanics tutorial, like if they come from League and they're like, I already know, you know, how to use spells and stuff, then I'm just gonna go find a match, and because I'm with my friends or whatever. Or maybe they're alone and they just want to jump right into it. So I think that's definitely one thing League does right, where they require the player to gain experience points, which you just get after every game. I think you get more for a win, a little bit less for a loss. And then there's other things you can unlock in League, like ARAM, which is all random, all mid. And that's just a fun game, and it can help you level up your account faster. It's not really something that most people are playing all the time. I mean, it can be fun. But one thing I would definitely say is I think they should have a level requirement for playing unranked normals instead of just going right into it. But let's talk about a couple of other reasons why newer players may or may not avoid Dota 2. So the first one, I think, is when you join a game and whatnot, you're going to be greeted with this massive menu full of characters. And honestly, it's hard to decide which one you want to play. Not only that, but players aren't really gonna, you know, realize what is strength, and they're not even gonna probably notice these complexity things that you can click. They're not gonna know that you can type in letters and stuff like that. They're just gonna go off of looks, and you know, if they pick Arc Warden for their first game, they're not gonna have any idea what's going on. So one thing I think Dota should definitely start doing is have a small group of highlighted heroes, and these highlighted heroes will be suggested to newer players. So whether it's complexity 1, and maybe there's like 5 to 10 heroes that are selected, and the community can vote on them from the main menu. It'll be like, which of these 5 would you like to see on the rotation, or like select like this week's selection or something like that. I think that would be really cool. And it doesn't always have to be complexity 1, right? Maybe for someone who's, you know, level 15 on their account or whatever, maybe they'll go to complexity 2, or even 1 complexity 3. Like maybe they'll see Invoker for the first time and they'll lose the game, but they'll be like, oh, this guy, like if I learn to play him, I can do all this crazy stuff. But I think that's one thing League definitely does really well, is having that free champion rotation. And this is kind of where people are going to disagree with me when I say that I think it's a good thing that you don't have access to all the characters right away, because having all the characters is kind of overwhelming in my opinion. Now I think you should get them very soon, like early on, and you shouldn't have to like buy them all like in League, but you shouldn't have access to all of them. You should only have access to maybe 10 of them, and they should be easier to play, just so the player can get a feel for the game, in my opinion, and not be overwhelmed and, you know, not wondering what everyone does, and they just are playing the game and having fun and learning at their own pace, and then, you know, they hit level 5 or 7 or 10, and then they've unlocked all the other heroes that they can play, and then they'll be like, oh, I've seen, you know, Disruptor or Enchantress in my game, I'm gonna go try this one out now, now that I can play it. And honestly, this is kind of a mechanic you see in a lot of games where you have to unlock characters. Now, I think sometimes that can be really tiresome and tedious, and honestly, Dota is one of the games where you have everything at your disposal right away, and it's an even playing field the whole time, and I think that's cool, but I feel like it's kind of rushing a bit too fast, kind of like how the intro, you can just skip it and go straight into a game. I think having a limited number of characters at the start early on is probably a better thing than having all these other ones to select from, and you would just lose a game or something, have a bad time, and then possibly just never play again because you're like, well, this game sucks, I don't even know how to play Shadow Fiend or whatever, he sucks, and they don't know how to play him or something like that. So now moving on past the initial noob phase, I guess you could call it, let's talk about things in-game that the player may not like. So once they start finding characters they like, they're probably going to feel like the items aren't very satisfying. This is something I'm still kind of getting over. So for example, buying something like a Null Talisman, which is a common starting item for mage characters, you might see this and be like, oh, this is so weak, like it's not satisfying for me to even buy it, I feel like it's not even worth it. Now me personally, I skip a lot of starting items, especially in League, unless I'm playing support of course, and that's just my preference, like I'll just go straight into my first item. But I feel like noobs who are playing this game will feel like these items kind of suck, and then also kind of like the regen items, they also kind of feel like a waste of gold. Obviously they're very necessary, but I feel like noobs don't want to buy tangos for the HP regeneration, or salve, or mango, or any of this stuff that, you know, kind of takes some timing to use. And you also have to know that, like, if you're using clarity, for example, or healing salve, that you can't get hit. Like, a lot of these items have a lot of text, and obviously for good reason, to explain like exactly what it does. And some items you learn a little bit more because you'll read like the next paragraph or something like that, and you'll be like, oh, that's why that happened in that game. Now I know a little bit more. So I do appreciate this. Like, I don't think a noob is going to spend all the time to read, you know, how long a Sentry Ward lasts. They're just going to go buy it because they're support and they want to go play the game. So to summarize this part up, I feel like the noobs aren't going to want to buy Mantle of Intelligence or stuff like this, and they're going to feel like they're not doing very much damage, especially early on. But Dota is definitely a late game. But let's get into the next phase. I feel like the phase that I'm in of why newer players don't want to play Dota 2, and it's because it's too steep of a learning curve. Now, don't get me wrong, I like games that are challenging. I like challenges, because if the game wasn't challenging, you wouldn't play it, unless you're just really good at it and it's challenging to everyone else. Now that's a rare situation, but anyways, I have about 670 hours at the time of recording this video, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of things I still don't understand. Now you would think that around my hours I would start to understand pretty much everything, and I wouldn't be good at it, of course, but I would be like, oh, I get why that happened. Oh, I'm starting to learn all the abilities. Oh, I get why this item used to be broken, or I thought it was broken. But honestly, Dota is so chaotic and there's so many tiny little things, and I feel like the game is overly complex. That's my opinion. I feel like there's things in this game that don't need to be in this game, or are just too complex for no reason, and they make all these tiny updates in Dota, so the game is changing all the time. So once you learn that little minute detail or whatever, it's going to change the next week or even the next day. Now for me personally, sometimes it gets overwhelming and I just have no fun sometimes if I see some characters on the other team that I just don't know how to counter or something like that. For example, if I see something like Storm Spirit or Anti-Mage, something that is just zooming across the map and just killing everything, then it kind of discourages me from playing the game, because I'm like, well, this is no fun at 25 minutes, you know what I mean? The early game is pretty fun. Don't get me wrong, I do have my fun games in Dota 2, and obviously if you're playing well, you're gonna have fun no matter what. But I definitely will say, if you have a team of people, or at least people with mics, then you're gonna want to play Dota 2. And that kind of moves me into my last reason, and this is just stuff that I noticed, so I can't say it's like the Dota community as a whole, but I guess it's just like the games that I've been playing. So I play on US East, and I am lucky to have people on my team that speak English. And when I say I'm lucky to have people on my team that speak English, I mean I'll be the only one on my team that speaks English at all, and everyone else will speak a different language. That for me makes it so I can't even communicate with my team, and if they want to tell me something, I don't know what they're saying. So that just doesn't help a lot. In League of Legends, I've never had this problem. Obviously, it's cool if you speak another language, but when you're playing a game that requires communication and you can use a microphone in the game, you usually expect the people on your server to speak your language at least somewhat so they can understand you or you can understand them, so you can win the game. And other than that, another thing that I see all the time in Dota 2 is people don't use their mic. In League of Legends, there's no mic like for your whole team. If you're queued up with somebody, there's an in-game thing where you can talk on mic, and you can also use Discord. But the only way to talk on mic with your team is to open Discord and send a link before the game starts. Now, that is pretty annoying, and you don't want to be in a bunch of random Discords. I know that I'm in a couple, and I just haven't even left them, and it's just annoying sometimes. But in Dota 2, you don't even have to do any of that, and a lot of people don't use their mic, or they don't have a mic. I think a mic probably costs like $5, and if you're playing on a laptop, you probably have a built-in mic, but people just avoid using it, and that is really discouraging for me, especially like if it's a close game and we're really trying to win and we need some communication. But anyways, guys, these were a few reasons why I believe newer players are avoiding Dota 2 sometimes when they start playing. And this is coming from a player who is newer. I have about 670 hours, like I said earlier, so I do consider that new, especially in Dota 2, where I'm still learning like half the mechanics. Make sure to leave a like if you haven't already. Don't forget to subscribe, because I am going to be reacting to my first game of League of Legends. That's right, my very first game of League of Legends, and I don't remember anything from it, so I think it's going to be pretty funny. But also comment down below, do you guys agree with some of the things I said in this video? What do you think we can do to get more new people into Dota 2? But anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one. Peace. Since you stayed to the end, check the video description, because I have the Steam account information for this account I used in the video. Don't worry, I didn't use any of my real information or real email. I used a 10-minute mail, so a temporary email. And I feel like I should just give this account away because I'm never going to use it. And this is what you get for staying to the end of the video. Anyways, guys, peace.